Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into something that affects literally every single one of us. The true meaning of justice and the trap of differentiation. Let's get right into it.
So here's a heavy question to kick things off. Why do our relationships so often end in bitterness? I mean, we all have this deep, totally natural desire for connection and harmony, right? Yet, look around. Our personal relationships, our broader society, they're often incredibly fractured. We genuinely crave mutual happiness, but instead, we just find ourselves in conflict. We feel disrespected or maybe unvalued. To figure out why this happens, and more importantly, how to fix it, we really need to completely rethink a word we toss around all the time, but probably misunderstand on a fundamental level.
And that brings us to justice. But hold on, we are not talking about justice as a legal system here. Forget about courtrooms and laws for a second. According to our source material, justice in human relationships is something much deeper. It's the recognition of values, those definite feelings in a relationship, their fulfillment, the right evaluation of that fulfillment, and the ultimate result, mutual happiness. So the absolute crucial point here is that justice is all about the proper ordering of people based on right evaluation. When you truly recognize how you're related to someone, you fulfill those shared values, and you evaluate them correctly, the natural, unavoidable byproduct is mutual happiness. That mutual fulfillment is literally the hallmark of justice. Now, notice how this kind of justice naturally scales up. It's a continuous need, but it starts incredibly small. The family? That's our natural laboratory. It's where a child first gets a real grasp of what justice actually looks like. Think about it. If justice, meaning that right evaluation and mutual happiness, is ensured at home, that child goes out into society totally equipped to interact properly with other people. It's this beautiful natural progression. You go from the family, out to a family cluster, then to a village or community, all the way out to the entire world family. It's a massive ripple effect. We slowly build the competence to live in harmony with everyone by, well, first getting it right in our own living rooms.
But this brings up a massive contradiction. If in undivided society, a true world family is what we all naturally accept and want, why is the world so incredibly divided? Seriously, if we naturally crave justice and mutual fulfillment, what's actively stopping us from getting there? Well, the answer lies in what happens when we fail to understand those core values in our relationships. When we lack the right understanding, we just end up being governed by our petty prejudices and our conditionings.
Really, it all boils down to a battle between respect and differentiation. Respect simply means right evaluation. It means accepting individuality and evaluating someone for who they truly are. It's recognizing that their fundamental human potential and their deep desire for happiness are exactly the same as yours. Differentiation, on the flip side, is a total lack of that understanding. Instead of seeing how similar we are, we try to make ourselves or other people into something special. We run around seeking respect by trying to prove we're superior, or we judge ourselves as more or less than someone else. In doing that, we totally lose the real feeling of relationship. We just replace it with differentiation. So, when we fail to evaluate people based on their conscious self, what the text refers to as the I, we inevitably fall back on these really shallow metrics. There are three false traps or bases of differentiation that we fall into: body, physical facilities, and beliefs. These are the three main ways we completely miscategorize people, and it destroys justice in the process. Let's actually break each of these down, because it's super important. First up, differentiation by the body. We do this all the time, often without even realizing it. We evaluate someone based on their physical vehicle rather than their conscious self. Take sex and gender, for example. We often completely ignore that being male or female is merely an attribute of the body, not the self, and we start handing out or withholding respect based on that. Or race, where we differentiate based on skin color or caste. Again, we're evaluating the body, not the I. We create these totally arbitrary hierarchies based on age, too, thinking we absolutely must respect our elders, but maybe not the younger generation. We even confuse a fear of physical strength with actual genuine respect. In every single one of these cases, we are entirely missing the actual human being standing right in front of us.
Moving on to the second trap, differentiation by physical facilities. This kicks in when we evaluate someone purely based on what they own or the fancy position they hold. We see wealth and bam, we instantly idolize the rich person. We don't even stop to ask if they actually feel prosperous on the inside or if they just happen to have hoarded a lot of stuff. We totally over-evaluate physical things that are really just meant to fulfill the body's temporary needs. And the exact same thing goes for posts or job titles. We incorrectly treat a title as a mark of a person's intrinsic excellence. Honestly, our societal systems even train us to earn these posts specifically just to fetch respect.
It's a complete fundamental error in how we evaluate one another.
Then there's the third trap, differentiation by beliefs. An ism is really just a thought system someone has adopted along the way. Think capitalism, socialism, communism, you name it. Because people are exposed to these systems from childhood, they just assume their adopted belief is the one absolute truth. But here's the thing, beliefs only exist at the level of desires and thoughts. They aren't definite. So they become this massive engine for division. The exact same logic applies to sex, traditions, and religions. People often only consider those who share their specific belief system to be their own and worthy of respect. It instantly creates this incredibly dangerous us versus them mentality. Okay, so what actually happens when we go around differentiating on the basis of bodies, facilities, or beliefs? Well, the outcome is totally inevitable. Differentiation leads to discrimination, and discrimination breeds severe acrimony. It's a toxic cycle. When we fail to evaluate others rightly, we discriminate against them. And that discrimination, it completely shatters the very foundation of justice we talked about earlier. It stops mutual happiness dead in its tracks. When we really map out the tragic, real-world fallout of all these daily differentiations, the connections are absolutely stark. Differentiating by sex or gender, that yields deep inequality and fear, which leads to endless protests just for basic human rights. Wealth bias creates intense class struggles, a massive lack of self-esteem, and even severe depression. And differentiation by beliefs or isms, that literally fuels fights, terrorism, and all-out wars. Even age differentiation creates these deep generation gaps and mistrust right inside our own homes. Every single major societal problem we face is a direct, unavoidable outcome of wrong evaluation. But hey, there is a resolution here. Building the undivided society, what the source material wonderfully calls Akhanda Samaja, has to begin with true valuation. It starts by consciously stripping away our obsession with the body, with wealth, with those rigid beliefs, and finally recognizing that the other person is fundamentally similar to you. They have the exact same basic aspiration for continuous happiness that you do. When we finally return to true evaluation, we generate the genuine feeling of love, which is the complete value. Love starts with affection in the family, and, just like we said earlier, slowly expands out to the entire world family. That is how we rebuild the foundation from the ground up. So I want to leave you with a final thought to really reflect on today. In your daily interactions moving forward, are you going to choose to evaluate others on their physical facilities, the shape of their body, and their rigid beliefs? Or will you choose to evaluate them on their inherent value as a conscious self, as a vital, equal part of our world family? Remember, every single interaction is a choice, a chance to either perpetuate division or to expand justice. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep evaluating rightly. Catch you next time.